Yo, what's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another video. And this video within the bonus course section is mainly just going to be tailored for questions, as well as just showcasing my indicators and what they're involved with. So no trade recaps or anything like that from today's video. I'm just purely just going to showcase the indicators. I have 4 main indicators that I have as a service on my website for those that are interested, and I'm just going to go over what each and every single one of them do and how I use them. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. Let me first move some of this stuff out the way. So, okay. All right, I think we should be good here. All right, let's go over these indicators one by one. This shouldn't be a long video, but let's go over them one by one. The easiest one we'll go over is the kill zone session. Okay, this indicator is basically an indicator. All these indicators, by the way, are custom built by me, by the way, so you won't find them anywhere online. This kill zone session indicator by default has all these times in EST time zone, UTC -4. So I don't know how it would translate when other people add it on their chart, but you can always just change the time and convert it to your time zone. So you will never have a problem with having a misaligned like time kill zone, right? You can always mess and change around with these numbers, or go online to like a calculator converter to just convert your time zone to from mine, and it'll be very easy to just put in and input the correct time. And all you do is just click save as default. So next time you have the indicator on your chart, it will default to those settings. But basically very simple, right? I like to make my programming and indicators as simple as possible. I don't like to add all these fancy stuff to it, right? And make it complicated, because at the end of the day, they're indicators to help us on the charts and help us spend less time. And that's the goal of each and every one of these indicators. So this one here, very basic, right? Show session names. This just shows the session name. We have 3 different sessions. Okay, we have London session, New York session, Asia session. Actually, I should probably go on now that I realize I should go on a different chart here. Let's go on gold. Ooh, this thing is laggy. Okay, I'm gonna start. Let me group these stuff together and hide it so it doesn't lag, because I think I'm lagging hard right now. Okay. All right, I think we're good here. How many drawings do I have here? 230. Not bad. Okay. So if we turn this on, it should show somewhere here. Let's see. It's down here. Okay, perfect. Gold is pumping. This is the session names, right? It just toggles them on and off. New York session, London session, and Asia session. So those are the 3 sessions that I have this indicator split between. What it does essentially is just draw a visual on your chart to show you the kill zone sessions that I use. So 8:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. EST, New York session, kill zone. Asia session is from 9 now to 12. Okay, these times change 1 hour because of whatever it's called, daylight savings. So that's why Asia session changed 9 to 12. And then London session 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. in my time zone. And then everything here is self-explanatory, right? All this does is change the background color of each session. By default, this one is just blue. And then by default, Asia session is like a pink purplish combination. But you can always change these colors and then click save as default, and it'll save it for future use. So whatever colors you guys prefer in your chart, right? The text will change along with the color of the background, highlighting the session. And then the next thing I can go over really is just this border style. All this adds is just a design of how you want to see and view the borders. If you think it's getting annoying or not, you can change it solid, dotted, or dash. That's what they look like. I just have and keep mine as solid. Border width, changes the width of the border, right? Now, if you go in the negatives, it'll start going the other way and actually expand out, which you don't want. So just keep this at anything above 1. Okay, so 1 or 2. I think I had mine really preset by 2. And then background transparency, obviously the less transparency, the less you'll see. So this is what happens to it. And this goes by increments of 10. So you just have to hit the down button and it already goes down 10. Unless you really want to put in specifics like 87, you can. but I don't see a reason to, so I just coded it so that it just goes in increments, making it a lot easier to change. Same with the border width, it just changes by 1 increment every single time. Very cool things here. That's basically the session kill zone indicator right there to a T. One last thing about this indicator is I programmed it so you can set alerts. So if you click on add alerts on ETU kill zone sessions, you can add an alert for New York session opening, Asia session opening, and London session opening. And so what it does is TradingView will send you an alert either through email notification or something like through your phone. You can change those settings, I believe, in your settings on TradingView. I don't remember exactly where, but there's somewhere where you can change how you want notifications to be sent. They're literally just going to be like an alert where it'll send you an alert to your phone or whatever platform you want to use. And it'll tell you when your session opens, when Asia session opens, and when London session opens. And I just had it as the openings for alerts and not closing time, because I think the closing time or the time that a session end isn't really important to you guys. You guys would be like trading when the session opens for kill zone, and then you would just basically manually stop trading when the session obviously ends, because you see the box stop highlighting, so you know when the session ends. So very basic stuff here. This is basically just going to go based on the time you select. So if you change your time frame or change like the time this occurs because of your time zone, completely fine. This alert system will change along with that. You just have to, if you had alert before, you just have to delete the alert and recreate it. That's all you had to do. Yeah, and that's all you gotta do, only once, and then hit create, and then you could do the same thing for a session and London session as well. Or you only do one session, whichever session you want to be trading. And here is actually, I found it. Here's where you enable notifications. So if you want to be notified via app, notification, email, URL, or just send a plain text, whatever you prefer. And open an alert always, and that's it really. So those are some cool little features I added in for those that want to have an alert to let them know when their kill zone session or the session starts. That way you can get on the chart during that time and not have to like look at the time yourself manually to see, oh, maybe I should, or you forget the times too, right? This is very helpful for those that forget times. So yeah, there's basically that. And another benefit of this indicator is when you are journaling, you can have this indicator on. So let's say take image for IGAT model here, boom, 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 target the week high, right? Very fast, simple, easy stuff based on the entry models. And literally you can just take a screenshot of this as your trading journal, and you have like the kill zone session already highlighted for you in the back. That way when you're journaling, you can, instead of having to look down here, like this is very annoying, having to look down here and try to guess if it's within kill zone session, or just having this background itself like this makes everything just a lot easier to just see in general. So you don't have to be pinpointing exactly with your eyes to determine whether or not you took a trade within kill zone session or not. But if you're only trading within kill zones and never trading outside of kill zones, then you don't really need to journal this. This is made for those that want to collect data outside of kill zone sessions. You can then know exactly when and where the kill zone starts and ends. If you want to collect data on trades taken after kill zone ends or trades taken before kill zone ends, as well as seeing maybe time duration. Maybe you notice that trades before and after kill zone sessions last way longer, and you don't want to hold that. So you just don't trade, right? Outside of kill zone sessions. So that's basically it for the kill zone session indicator. Okay, next we move on to high time frame zones. You guys can see already how this works here. All it is drawing zones based on the high time frame. These zones are drawn on the 30-minute, 1 hour, and 4 hour time frame. So what it represents is how price on the higher time frame is moving. So you can see clearly based on these candles, like each one of these candles is creating a range. This bullish candle here on the 30-minute is creating a range. If you saw the video I made about fractal timeframes, you will understand this one big bullish candle on the 30-minute is considered like an entire move of several 30-minute candles on the 1 minute time frame, or 30 1-minute time frame candles, right? So this is a big move up. Like internally, it will look like this, look like that. All this indicator does is it basically draws out the higher time frame zones for you automatically. That way you don't have to calculate or draw them out yourself, and you can see how it works. These work really best. These high time frame zones work best during kill zone session timing, and not during low volatility like what you just saw, like this. It doesn't work really during these times because price in general during this time, you don't really have many setups here, right? I guess you could take some of these small low ranges, but they're very minimal. And so another thing that this indicator can help you really identify is better market conditions. If you see like prices consolidating within a high time frame zone here and not moving from high time frame zone in and out like this, creating ranges like that, then you know it's bad market conditions and to just not trade this at all. Versus when you see something like this here, right? Combining these two indicators, you can see we have a perfect range being built. And this is a way that I use to basically mechanically define my ranges. Meaning if price is coming from one high time frame zone to the other one, then that's a good range and good for me to go. If it's moving within one singular, if it's creating ranges like that are small within one singular zone, that means the range is too small and bad market conditions. So this is another tool you could also use to identify market conditions. And this works the same exact way as typically how price moves, right? You can see when price breaks out of supply, like here, then this supply high time frame zone becomes demand. So now this is holding demand here off this POC to going higher, right? This is just helping you basically automatically draw these high time frame zones. And then of course you could change these numbers in the number of zones you want. So maybe you don't want that many zones on your chart to prevent lag. You can reduce number of zones. The starting values, I've already done the mathematical calculations for them. And so they go based on the increments that I've already predefinedly calculated, which are all the zones. And then this is another thing, you could show 50% of the zone. And you could even build a strategy off of using 50% of the zone, which I have even back tested too, right? I had about a 60% win rate, I believe, at a 1 to 2 static risk reward, which is really good. You know, it's really good for a fully mechanical strategy. And all I did was really take a limit order in the middle of the zone, stop loss above the zone, and then just target a static 1 to 2 every single time. And that was a very full-on mechanical strategy I built using this indicator as well. So there's a lot of things you can do with this indicator, really. You build strategies off of it. You can use it to identify good or bad market conditions. And then you can also use it to determine your ranges. So what I typically mainly use this one is to determine my ranges while on a lower time frame. So let's say I don't want to go on a higher time frame to determine my high time frame zones and draw them out. Well, having this indicator here, what it does is it draws out those high time frame zones ahead of time for me. So that way, when I'm on the lower time frame, I don't have to switch time frames anymore. I could literally stay on the 1 minute and I'll know where I am trading in terms of the high time frame ranges. Because these ranges actually, this is something cool I found out about trading. These ranges hold forever, meaning like you can see how like all these zones have the exact same space between them. And that's because I mathematically calculated this so that it works perfectly. Like if you go all the way back in time here, these zones literally do the exact same thing back here. You see, we had a bullish move, bearish, came back, we broke through, we came back here, this, and then that. Well, literally this is like, this right here is literally making a range for us to trade on lower time frame, another range for us to trade on lower time frame, another big range for us to trade on lower time frame. Like all these things you can put together into a trading plan. And that's why I love this indicator, because it helps me see the high time frame without having to switch or do any analysis on the high time frame. So for example here, you can see that price is just, instead of trading like this between zones and breaking out, price is going in one direction within that supply zone, right? Since we're going up into the zone is supply. If we're going down into the high time frame zone is demand. Like price should realistically be doing something like this as good market conditions. Since we're doing something like this, it's not the best market conditions to trade, but you will still get nice trades off just limit orders here because these ranges are still good enough for your risk reward. So these are just certain things you keep in mind. For example here, like if you're trading this, right? One other benefit of this is you'll know your ranges so that you know that basically when price comes up to this origin here, at some point it has to come back down to this zone on the high time frame. which it does, right? So instead of taking longs here, you know this zone here, this POI here is actually in premium. So basically these supply and demand zones on a high time frame that are automatically drawn can be used as premium and discount as well. So you buy in discount, you sell in premium. When you break out of one of the zones, you then reverse it. So instead of this being premium now, where you're selling, once you break out and tap into another zone, now this is where you're selling. This is where you're buying. That's how I view it, okay? I use this for over a year, and it's just not, it has not changed. These algorithms have not changed. As you can see, for example, this is where it could be used perfectly because let's say you're not on the high time frame. Let's say you mark this as a break structure and you are basically trying to short this. Well, you can see how we are in a discount zone here. So the trading range is this zone here and this zone here. We're in the discounted zone, so you should not be selling here. You should be actually buying back into the premium zone on the high time frame. And you can see it works perfectly here because now we are just going from discount to premium, discount, premium, discount, premium, discount, premium, right? This is not premium there, but you guys can see how this works. This takes some little bit of screen time and experience to really understand how to use this together with their trading confluences. But this really in the beginning helped me a ton when I was still not the best at marking my structure properly on the higher time frame. So this might help those that need help and guidance, basically to have something mechanically that they can fully rely on, not fully rely on, but help them at least view the higher time frame structure and discount and premium. Like for example, you can see here clearly once we break out this zone here, right? This is a zone, right? This is the indicator. The indicator is drawn a zone here horizontally. Now this becomes where you sell. In this zone previously where you sell, this now becomes where you buy. And you can see you even create a strategy randomly buying and selling in here, right? Like you for example, you have a limit order here, you also have a limit order here. And literally this is all you're doing as a strategy too, right? You just hit 1 and 2 and 3 risk reward there. Just putting a limit order at 50%, buying and selling. So that's another cool little unique way you can also use the indicator if you really want to. It doesn't perform as good in terms of results though as trading the strategy I'm teaching you guys, because the strategy I'm teaching you guys, you just get way better risk reward and make more R in general. Because look, you had an OB entry here, and if you target where you target, that's already 6 R off of one trade instead of having to wait a long time for just 3 R. So the strategy still is profitable using these high time frame zones, but you can really use this as a confluence if you really are good at marking your high time frame structure and your lower time frame structure as well. So that's the high time frame zones. Nothing much else really to this, right? You can change the opacity of the background if you want, change the colors, whatever suits your style that you prefer. And one more thing, this zone indicator, I only did the math calculations for SPY, which is ES, gold, oil, euro, and USD JPY, which I used to trade a lot when I was trading just Forex from prop firms. Before I had a ton of personal capital to trade with, I was trading a lot of Forex prop firms, getting payouts, and so I had USD JPY trading that during the Asia session. That's why I had this, but other than that, I don't have calculations for everything because I think that would take too much time. So those are the main things I trade, so that's why I have it on the indicator. Next up, let's skip over the POI first. Let's go over this one. This one's because the POI one is a lot, okay? Daily bias, self-explanatory. It just tells me the daily bias of every single trading day. Okay, so when a new daily candle opens, I'll get a new daily bias updated in this dashboard on the top right, and you can see how the daily bias worked perfectly. And when a daily candle opened here, right, we're bullish, very bullish. And then this is, if you go on the higher time frame, daily, this is what the indicator does. It just basically just marks its bias using red and green arrows on the chart on the daily. But obviously you'll be able to know your bias without having to see that, because you'll stay on the 1 minute or 5 minute or whatever time frame that you're entering on, and you'll just have the bias already calculated for you as a table. That way you don't have to go to the daily to figure it out. So it makes things a lot more efficient. Using daily bias will improve your win rate. It's proven statistically. The only difference is you would take less trades because it's a bit more of a filtering process, right? But me personally prefer, I like to combine the daily bias along with my own understanding of structure on the lower time frame and higher time frame to maximize the win rate. So that's basically how I use the daily bias indicator. Here is the colors. You can change it, right? It changes it on the table as well as the arrows. So whatever color style you prefer, and then bearish, obviously, if you're bearish, there's gonna be 3 different symbols here. It's gonna be bullish, bearish, or neutral. Neutral means that day we're likely to range. So that day you can buy and sell because we're likely to trade within a range on the higher time frame. So if we're trading like a high time, if the daily candle is something like this, which is what a neutral typically means, something like this with wicks and a very small body, no sense of really direction, right? Huge wicks on both sides. Then on lower time frame, we'll just have big ranges. That's what it looks like on lower time frame. So that's what it is. You have 3 different modes of bias that will give you. Bullish, you want to be just buying. Bearish, you want to be just selling or mainly selling. And then neutral, you can do both, no problem. It will likely be a range day. Previous day low, previous day high color. This is just the color of the line tool that automatically draws the previous day low, previous day high. As you guys see here, the daily candle opened up at 6 p.m. EST for me. Okay, it will automatically update to your time zone, by the way, so you don't have to worry about that. It draws a previous day high, which is right there. The previous day low is already down here. Okay, and you can also even create a strategy off of previous day high, previous day low, or you can use these as profit targets depending on how you want to trade. They are very high time frame profit targets if you're trading on the 1 minute. So just keep that in mind. But I typically like to use this indicator the most because it helps me see and visualize open high low close and open low high close concepts on the lower time frame, which is perfect because now it shows the true day open, which is, if you hover over, I have a notification or note here that this is the opening price of the daily candle. The daily candle opened at this price right here. Now you can also change this to whatever color you prefer, right? But that is the opening price, true day open. That's the opening price of the daily candle. So basically you will be able to visualize the daily candle while you're on the lower time frame, which is very nice because you'll see that this is the previous day high, previous day low, and this is the opening price of the new daily candle. And remember what we say is if we're bullish, right? If our high time frame analysis is bullish, we want to buy below the opening daily candle. So maybe we buy here, for example, to target the previous day high. But in this case, we actually took out the previous day high already. So then you can find this high as weak. Just giving some examples, right? Let's say we never took out the previous day high and we're bullish. How would I use this indicator? I'd wait for us to be below true day open. Wait for my confirmations, of course, in the right zone, PY, and take the trade and maybe TP at the previous day high. As a very big risk reward trade, you can get like 20 RR, or you be more conservative and take a lot more trades, but you trade with the range up there, right? So it depends on how you want to trade it. Same thing with bearish. If you're bearish, you basically use this indicator where it already draws a line on a lower time frame. You're literally staying on the lower time frame, guys. You don't need to switch to the daily candle, and you'll see the line drawn automatically. You'll know this is the opening price of the daily candle using open high low close. Now you know if you're bearish on the high time frame, you want to sell above the opening price, and then you want to preferably target the previous day low at some point, or that's going to be your draw on liquidity. Maybe you have multiple opportunities to take a counter trend, right? Creating internal structure and then coming back down here, taking out the low. So there's many different ways of being able to trade using this indicator that draws it without you having to go on the daily candle yourself, because going on a daily candle mainly yourself does take an effort. You guys can see how it draws it perfectly with the program I made. Very simple. It just draws the line right here at the opening price, and then obviously previous day high you can see was already taken, and previous day low is all the way down there. So that's basically it for the daily bias indicator. And the last but not least, we have the best indicator in the world here. This is the one I use the most, like the most relevant to my trading, I'd say. Because, well, I wouldn't say the most relevant, but this is just the one that saves you the most time. Because I know when I started trading, like after maybe like probably a year and a half of profitability, I just got sick of mainly drawing these zones, really, like having to look for them myself. So what you can do is you just get an indicator and you put in the active time that you want to have it start drawing zones. These are all in EST, by the way, UTC -4, so you can convert your time zone. If you only wanted to draw these POIs within from 11:30 to 1, you can change it there. I just have it on 24/7 in case I'm trading Asia session as well. I don't bother too much with active control. Session border. This is basically drawing a border if you were setting it to like a specific time frame. So let's say you set it to this time, and then border, let's make it black, and session background, let's make it like orange. You can see here, this is where the POIs are going to get drawn. You can see the POIs that were drawn here, like all the OBs disappeared, and now it's only drawing POIs from this time range. Now that's honestly looks very ugly, so I'm gonna change the session background to by the default, which is transparent. Transparent, and then border. If you want to see the border in which it's drawn the active time, you can. But typically I don't have that, and I just have it on 24/7 like that. Border style, that's just the border, obviously design of how you want it to look. So I don't mess around with any of this, me personally, but feel free to tailor it to your trading plan. POI settings, upper line, this basically just draws like a 50% range of every hour. That's how it's typically calculated. So it's kind of drawing to 50% of every single range. You can see this is a low, this is the high draw, this is the middle range it drew. So then you could be looking for POIs between this range here, right? So if we go back to this, let's make the middle line like a more visible color. Make it red, and then let's change the line style to solid. Let's see. Or maybe this is a different line. This might be for something else. Or this is for this. Hold on. That might be for something else. Nope, never mind, just updated. See? Okay, there you go. It draws a line. It basically draws 50% roughly for you, the most mechanical way possible. Obviously, I'd rather you guys learn structure and prefer to draw the ranges yourself, which is more accurate, but this is roughly drawing and helping you draw the 50% range of every single 1 hour move. So you guys can see, using this range, you could even catch trades below 50%, right? Let's say maybe you make a strategy, trading below 50% to buy, selling above 50% to sell for bearish. You see it just draws out those, basically the discounted premium of every hour. So you could use those as your ranges, but I'll recommend you guys still try your best to learn the ranges yourself in terms of market structure. That way you can get better results. Okay, now let's remove this. Next up, we have show only active zones. So if I disable that, it will draw all the OBs even if they're mitigated. So it's gonna be drawing a lot of things right now. So we'll see. You can see it draws each and every single OB that's mitigated. So this is a good way to journal without having to draw your zones like I mentioned now, because you could journal by just turning this on, or turning the indicator on and turn off show only active zones. So now you have it automatically drawn for you, which is saving you a lot of time in the long run. And then show bullish zones, you guys should understand this, right? This shows only bearish zones. So right here, if we just enable that, it will only show supply. And if we enable this now, it will only show demand. And these are in 2 different colors, right? Bearish, I have it set as this color. Bullish, I have it set as this blue. But you could change it, for example, like that. Now bullish is red. Change it to like the color scheme of your trading chart so it looks clean and not messy. That's my recommendation. And then let's just turn everything back on again. Oh, one more thing. zone text color. This is just the text color for your alternative zone. So let's go over that. This was extremely hard to program. It takes a lot of took a lot of time to program this, but finally got it done. What this does here is allows you to see like a different time frame POI while on the 1 minute. So you can see how it's drawing a 5 minute zone here marked with the 5 minute, right? This here is literally a 5 minute POI perfectly right there. It's literally the 5 minute POI, but it's drawing it automatically for you while you're still on the 1 minute. Using this, you're able to see higher time frame zones without having to switch time frames. This is literally like a cheat code to save you time basically in trading if you want to view it like that, because if you combine this especially with the high time frame zones, you can literally trade properly easily with the right exact same information, but while just staying on lower time frame, just staying on the 1 minute. Like for example, I made all this 30 minutes. And there's ticks also for people that trade off ticks. I don't teach you guys to trade off ticks. I like to use time-based trading. So 30 minute, you guys can see it literally draws the 30 minute OB. What do you see here? You literally see a 30 minute OB right here. Really incredible. And then this is the one we drew. That's the one the indicator drew. You can see it perfectly aligns. This is literally a 30 minute OB. Right here. I just hide that. Let me hide the kills and sessions actually. I see it's better. Let's lead a 30 minute OB. And then of course we can enable everything else. The text color is just for the alternative zone basically, to display the time frame that you have enabled for the secondary zones. And that should be it. Typically I have this set at default 5 minutes because typically what I do is I like to just see the 5 minute and the 1 minute zones. While on the 1 minute, I don't really usually have this on the higher time frame typically because it occurs a lot less often. And so this is just my default settings here. If you guys are interested, this is my default settings for this indicator that I have custom coded. So yeah, I basically just use that really in this structure. So that's basically it for this video, just going over all the indicators that I personally use. 1, 2, 3, 4, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 indicators that I'm using on the daily, right, for my trading, and all these apply to the strategy I'm teaching you guys, and it will make you a lot more efficient trader. You can also probably no gaps, by the way. Some people might ask what this is. This is just to hide the gaps, just fill in the gaps. You guys see sometimes there's gaps. This all it does is just fill in the gaps for certain candles that are missing data from this broker. So you can see there's a gap here, gap here. So that's all that does. You can probably look this up, I think, on TradingView and just find that indicator. It's a free indicator. But aside from that, every other indicator I use is all my own custom indicator. Okay, and nothing else. I don't use EMAs. I don't use automatic trend line drawing indicators. None of that, because it's not useful at all to my trading. So that's what I would recommend to you guys. Simplify your trading, but make sure you're using things that are necessary to you. So like, to me, this is still simplified, right? Having all these indicators is still simplified trading because I'm so used to it. So when you level up in trading, the higher you go in terms of the level you are in trading, the easier things become that used to be hard, right? Just like same thing with math. Calculus 3 might be extremely hard at first, but then when you're done with the course and pass, it's extremely easy. Same thing with trading. Same thing with trading with more and more indicators, things like that. Just make sure the indicators are not messing up your bias, okay, or messing up your trading plan and your psychology, because you don't want indicators that tell you a whole different story going against each other. That just doesn't make any sense and it will mess up your trading. So make sure to keep your charts as clean as possible, right? My charts are still clean with all these indicators, right? Like I'll still be able to see completely fine with them, and just take some time to get used to, but it's not too bad. The only thing is this POI indicator that you could also just change the time and it won't draw all these zones, or disable show secondary zones and remove all these 5 minute ones if you don't want to see secondary zones. We should remove in a second. Yep, there you go. But I like to keep it on and use the most out of the indicators. So again, for those that are interested, you guys can check out the indicators on my website. And that's basically it for this video, really, man. I mean, not too much else to it. The indicators are on the website. Okay, the pricing is all there, and basically you won't be able to, by the way, this is just a disclaimer that some people might try to sell indicators, for example, but they won't be able to. So like for people that are trying to do that, you won't be able to do it. So okay, just as a disclaimer, legally, because the indicators, you won't be able to see the code behind it. Okay, so you won't be able to make your own indicator or whatever with it. And also I'm doing it through a system where basically people that buy, I'll get your trading, you can just send me your TradingView username and I'll add you to the database for the indicator. And TradingView has its own secure system where I can add people privately one-on-one to the indicator, so that they can't basically share it. You won't be able to see any of the code at all behind the indicators, and you won't be able to share it with other people. So it will be directly connected to your TradingView account. Again, these indicators are only for TradingView users. Okay, if you use like a different charting platform, which I don't know why, because TradingView is clearly the best charting platform. It literally has everything you need. But if you're on a different platform, these indicators don't show. It's only for TradingView, people that use TradingView basically to trade. So again, that's it for this video. Hope you guys did learn a lot basically from the types of indicators that I have available for those that are interested. None of this is required at all to become profitable. It is just indicators that I built myself that I found to be best useful in my trading journey in terms of making my trading more and more efficient, because that's ultimately my goal as a trader. Because at this point, I already have my system down. I already have profitability down. All is really left is just to try to scale my account, not as fast as possible necessarily, but you could say it like that, while maintaining efficiency, right? Just being efficient with my time is all really is left for me in terms of my personal trading. So these indicators will help you with that efficiency and scaling. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.